All right, here we are again at the flea market, and I came across this book, quote unquote book, because there is nothing inside of it besides this title page. It's blank because it's designed to hold match covers. Now, in and of itself, this particular book right here being blank, it might be worth about $30 or something like that. But the reason I pointed out is that there was one of these that sold recently that was filled with matchbooks that sold for $2,100. But that's because it was filled with matchbooks. But you always want to check these out to see if they are filled, because then that would be definitely a huge score if you picked something like that out. So the other thing I was looking at, so we're gonna grab this. This will just be like $2. So we'll put this right over here. And then I was looking through these photos over here. You always want to look through old photos. And one of them that I found that I thought was really good was this one right here, because you have two things that collectors love. You have the girl, the lovely lady actually, and she's sitting on the car. This is just such a nice old picture. She's purposely posing. And on the back, you could see here, it says April 3rd, 1943. It has her name on it too, Marie, looks like. Taken over to grandma's. How cool is that? So we're gonna get that one listed as well. So I love these two flea market finds. Now, if you were wondering about these, by the way, these little word scrambles and stuff, these are little games from the 1930s, 1940s. Unfortunately, as cool as they are, I really do like them. They just don't sell for much. So, yeah, I'm going to skip them for that reason, but I do love them. All right, now behind where I found these two items has to be one of the craziest finds I have ever come across while sourcing. Look at this thing. This is from New York City at the Royal Health Institute, and you could see here, if I turn this, it says the same thing, Royal Health Institute, New York City vacuum. This, I believe, now I could be wrong, but this is just my initial impression on this. I think this is an old-fashioned dental pump. Now, the key would be to know if this thing actually works. And we do have the plug here, and we do have an outlet. So let's turn this around and see if this thing works, because these things could go for several $100s. So let's see here. Oh wow, look at that. It works. No, I believe you. How much is this? 20 bucks? Billy? What, 20 bucks? 20 bucks. Wow. This thing is insane. Look, oh my gosh, it's so heavy though. 20 bucks? All right. Oh, and you got a little switch here too. I wonder what that does. Let's see. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. I wonder what that is. Oh, okay. Oh, it's a different setting. Oh my God, and the setting works too. That's an added bonus. Oh, there you go. Okay, that's the off. Fast. Slow. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. All right, we're gonna pick this up for $20. Oh my gosh, 20 bucks. This is insane. Let me know what you think of this. I've seen ones like this sell for, well, not this exact one, of course. I mean, I think is added value that it's from New York City. This place does not exist anymore, as far as I know. So, you know, at least, I would say at least 200, but, you know, we'll see. I'll put the price up for it eventually. I still cannot get over this find. This is so amazing. Let me know if you've ever found anything like this when sourcing. Wow. All right, we are back at PTHQ because I want to do a little bit more investigation into this item because I am utterly fascinated by it. I've never seen anything like this before. It's just so cool. And to add to the fascination, I was told by the person who I purchased this from that the owner of it, prior to him, claimed that this was used to remove Edgar Allan Poe's teeth. That's right, Edgar Allan Poe, the famous poet and writer. Could this have been used to remove his teeth? And if so, maybe I should put that in my eBay listing, right? In my description. That would add a lot of value to it. But we've got to do some investigation to determine if that is accurate. On the surface, it sounds like it's something that could be plausible because if you're just thinking real quickly, right? Edgar Allan Poe, he lived a long time ago. This thing definitely looks like it's old, came from a long time ago. Do they come from the same time frame? Is there anything on here that would give us some clues? Well, one thing we need to know, right, is could these things have existed in the same location? Well, we could put a check next to that. It's possible, at least, because this, we know from the markings, it says New York City on it. So, West End Avenue. And it is known historically that Edgar Allan Poe lived in New York City for a time. So, maybe based on that, it's at least possible, right? But we also need to know, when did Edgar Allan Poe live? He lived from 1809 to 1849. So we would have to place this item back in that time frame in order to try to establish some sort of linkage. So let's take a closer look at this and see if we could find any clues to age. All right, so let's start here. We are going to zoom into this nameplate area right there, and you can see there where it says Royal Health Institute. So this is the location. I did some research on this, and this is in a pretty obscure place. There's just not much on it at all. I do not think it was in existence for very long because there's just, again, not much at all in the historical record. The only record I was able to find was a New York publication that dated this place back to the late 1930s. I believe it was 1938. I'll flash it up on the screen so you could see. So we know at least it was in existence at that point. Then what I was doing was looking for some other markers, serial numbers, model numbers, anything that could help me get a better idea on this. And there is a number right here. Now, I'm not sure if it's a serial number or if it's a model number. I was thinking that there might have been some kind of maker's mark up here because it does feel a little bit raised, but that could just be the metal itself, just the aging effect of it over time. One of the things you could do if you think there are some hidden letters there or numbers is you could rub some chalk powder on it or some flour on it, and that might help raise it so you can see it better. But I tried that and I wasn't able to figure it out. If there was something on there, it's too faded, so I'm not sure. I did look up this number. I cannot figure out what this actually came from. But as Mrs. Primetime and I were doing our own forensic investigation into this, one of the things that we thought was that, this really looks like something, I'm going to use this word again, but this looks like something that was just cobbled together at some point, by somebody. Now, it does say that a patent was applied for this, but, I don't know. It doesn't have a patent number or anything on it, but it looks like that this part may have been attached to it at a later point. This side, looks darker. This side, has the motor on it. So if this was put on at a later point, I don't think it was put on too much later. If I turn this to the side, we could see that it actually shows that this is a General Electric motor. Now, so I don't torment you too much and trying to make you read sideways, what I'm going to do is just tilt this to the side so I could show you something on here that's pretty interesting. Actually, a few things. All right, so check that out. Right there, it says that it's a General Electric home laundry motor. And right over here, you could see it says FSP. That's a huge, huge clue. That stands for factory specified parts. And that's the term that Whirlpool used for General Electric motors that were designed to be replacement parts for their washers, dryers, and other appliances. And these were used between the 1940s and 1960s. There you could see the RPMs, 1140, 1725 right there. So that's a 2-cycle motor, and that's why this switch right here had 2 different speeds, and why on the side here you could maybe see someone marked it as high and marked it as low right there. So this all indicates right here, I mean, there's other markings on here as well, 115 watts, and there's some other things on here as well, but this indicates that the time frame again was 1940s, 1960s. Combining everything together, I'd say that this probably comes from somewhere around the 1940s. Well, there you have it. I think that this item dates back to around the 1940s, certainly not the 1840s. Besides, there's no historical record to indicate that Edgar Allan Poe ever had any of his teeth removed. If he did, he probably would have written a poem about it. And as far as I know, he didn't write one. So I don't know, could we use that as evidence that he never had his teeth removed? But, let's assume for a moment that there is some indication in history that Edgar Allan Poe had some of his teeth removed. We would need a lot more historical documentation to link that tooth removal to this specific device. So for example, we would need documentation like a receipt from the Royal Health Institute linking up the serial number or model number on this device to Edgar Allan Poe as a patient actually having his teeth removed. And we'd need to, know the location and pinpoint if he was, at that location at that point in time. And then you need to establish chain of ownership. How did a device that may have existed that long ago get passed on to its current owner, and does everything match up? That takes often a lot of time to try to piece all that stuff together. But if you can establish it, that's called establishing provenance in the collectibles industry. And establishing that provenance can really significantly increase the value of the item, because a lot of times, not only are people buying the item, they're buying the story. And because of that, sometimes people try to sell you a story to make you pay more money for something that you shouldn't be paying more money for. Now, that didn't happen in this case because I was told this story after I purchased the item and I got it for an amazing price, $20. I'm listing this for $300. So we'll see what happens with it. And if it sells, I'm definitely going to do a follow-up clip and let you know about that. But just be careful about the stories you hear and the stories you pass on. Make sure you do the research. And now let's go check out some interesting sales. All right, we're going to head over to the bottom toy section area, and we've got a really cool item right here. This is the Masters of the Universe collector's case. Really neat item. You want to make sure if you come across this that the locking mechanism is working. That definitely helps with the value. You just open it up like that, and I'll lay it down here just to show you. And this is where you could put your Masters of the Universe toy figures. Like I'll show you one of my favorite Masters of the Universe figures, Clawful. Just put them inside like that, and then you close the case up and walk around with multiple figures at once. You'll come across this sometimes. I actually just saw one at the flea market, but I didn't pick it up because it was too badly damaged. This one I actually got in a Masters of the Universe toy haul, and I was really impressed at the condition that it was in. So you want to make sure on these that, you know, the imagery is nice and bright and colorful. There's no rips in the lamination, no tears in the corners. But on this one, where you want to be careful mostly is on the inside, because where the damage tends to mostly occur is in this thin plastic inside. So normally this plastic has been cracked because, you know, this is from the 1980s and these tended to take a beating. But as you can see here, there's no cracks in the plastic. And when this plastic cracks, it turns white and it really doesn't look good. So it really pays to check your competition and see the type of condition that they have their items listed in. And it really paid off in this instance, because if you look this up, you'll see people selling this for like, you know, $25, $30, but I was actually able to sell this for $50 because of the condition. And so, you know, even though some of my competitors, you know, might have said things like, oh, wow, this is a really great condition, it's one thing to see what they say, but it's another thing to look at the picture. So, you know, I actually will look at the pictures, you know, of the competition and just see, you know, how does it relate to what I have? And if mine's better, I'm going to list it higher generally, unless that person has some crazy, insane price on it that doesn't even make any sense. But that wasn't the case here. $50 sale, pack it up, get it ready to go. All right, we're gonna head down to the bottom shelf here because I finally sold the Flintstone cookie jars. So these are items that you have previously seen me source at an estate sale. If you didn't see it, I'll link the video so you could go check it out. But it's actually a set of items that made me go to the sale because I love these pop culture types of items. I grew up with the Flintstones. I love that show, so I knew that somebody else would want it. I did think it would sell a little bit faster. I sourced them for $10 a piece. So there's not only Fred Flintstone, but behind there you could see his pal Barney Rubble. So they sold for $85. I originally had them for $100, but made a deal with somebody. And these are items that I would only suggest sourcing if you could find a pair of them to go together, because they are big. So you want to make sure, you know, it makes sense shipping wise. So that's why I put them both together so they go out in the same order. So Flintstone cookie jars, very happy to make the sale, and this is gonna give me some nice space down here too, so I could put some other stuff. So yeah, very happy about these. Just wanted to give you an update. All right, we're gonna head over to Woody Woodpecker here at Primetime Treasure headquarters. As you can see, he helps to guard a lot of valuable treasures. And one that I'm gonna give you an update on that you saw me source at the flea market for just $2 is this Quarter Horse Journal Annual Stallion Edition. Let me pull this out to show you the cover on this one. So this is the Christmas issue. Look at that. That is an incredible cover right there. Nice thick issue. This one just sold for $50, and it's going overseas. It's going to Australia. So that just goes to show why it is important to offer those items internationally. And if you're wondering, it doesn't cost me any extra to send it to Australia with the eBay International Shipping Program. I just ship it over to them and they take care of everything. The buyer pays the shipping to get it from eBay to Australia. So be on the lookout for the Quarter Horse Journal, especially these 1960s, Christmas issues. It's a very good item to flip for a nice profit. So we're gonna pack this one up and get it over to Australia. All right, our next item is this 21 by 14 inch wall hanging. You can see here that it has this wooden piece that would hang from, and it's a latch hook depiction of 3 mushrooms. So I've talked before about looking for latch hook pieces, and I've also talked before about looking for mushroom items. I don't care if they're latch hook mushroom items, if they're mushroom figures or what. People love mushroom items for various reasons. People like to cook with them. People have symbolic representations of what mushrooms represent. People who love Super Mario, the video game, love the mushrooms, for jumping on them and making Mario bigger. So there's lots of reasons why people love mushrooms. But Mrs. Primetime picked this up at a garage sale for $2, and it just sold for $50. So definitely be on the lookout for mushroom items, latch hook items. You could sell the latch hooks in complete form like this, or as you've seen me pick them up before, you could pick them up in the box undone, preferably sealed. People like to make them from scratch. So there you go. It's a nice, light, easy item to ship and a quick $50 sale. All right, so normally when I take you over to this area of Primetime Treasure headquarters, we're looking for an item up here that's sold, typically a toy item. But today I am going to take you down to the lower layer of this PTHQ section, and we are going to focus on this item right here. Let me flip this over for you, and you are going to see here the Wampa from Star Wars. If you're not into Star Wars, this is a very famous creature from Empire Strikes Back. There's this famous scene where the Wampa kidnaps Luke, and he drags him into his lair and he hangs him upside down, which is why you see him hanging upside down right there. In fact, the back of the box depicts that scene right there. You could see there's the Wampa dragging Luke by his leg in the snow back to his lair. So that's a really cool added touch on the back. You notice the black on the box. This is called the Black Series, which is something to look out for. It's an 8-inch figure for the Wampa, and this is a 6-inch figure for Luke Skywalker. So this just sold for $85. I'm very happy about that, because when I combine it with the Mumra figure that sold, this brings me to about half of my money back from that giant toy collection I purchased for $300. So we're well on our way to getting my money back on that, and then soon we'll be in profit on it. So definitely be on the lookout for anything related to the Wampa figure. You might find the the classic old vintage Wampa figure out there, which I've sold many times. And in general, monster fans tend to love snow creatures that are like mean monsters, like abominable snowmen. They're very popular, so I love to pick up things like that. So yeah, $85, we'll get this packed up and on its way. Well, I've shared before that my favorite pet is a dog, but I did have a cat when I was a kid, and of all of the different types of cats that I like, my favorite one of all is the Maine Coon, because if you've ever played with a Maine Coon cat before, their personalities are hilarious and they're very similar to dogs. And so Maine Coon cats are popular. If you see anything related to Maine Coons, look into picking it up, including Funko Pops. So this Maine Coon Funko Pop that I purchased in a big collection, I have a video all about it, you could go check out. This one is in terrific condition, mint condition on this one. This one just sold for $70. $70. So remember that. And this sale is dedicated to all the people who tell me that Funkos don't sell, that they're
just like Beanie Babies. I say this every time we make a Funko sale, but I've heard that so many times. I just want to keep reinforcing that there are good Funkos out there. There's bad ones, but there are also good ones. And the Pets series, they're great. They're absolutely great. They don't make them anymore. At least this this particular series here, you could see there's the Siamese twin and the Calico cat as well. I said Siamese twin, but Siamese cat. I had a question in my prior video about what these quote-unquote bank boxes were over here, and I realized they might look like that. The question was, are they for storage? And they are for storage, but they're not bank boxes. They're actually short boxes for comic books. Mrs. Primetime saw this for me at a garage sale. She picked it up for like 10 bucks or so, and it's one of the best purchases that she ever made because it's really efficient space-wise, and all of these boxes are filled with comics in alphabetical order that I have listed in my eBay store. So I'm going to show you one right here. Actually, the first one in alphabetical order, which is Adventure Comics, and this one is from 1959, a nice 10-center. You might wonder what it is about this particular book that made it sell for $50. And initially, you might think that it has something to do with the dog Krypto, because the Superman movie is being remade and Krypto will be featured in it. And believe it or not, pets in superhero movies do become popular and do help drive up the price of comic books. However, that's not the main reason that this book is valuable. It has to do with something you would not even know about on the cover. Let me show you inside what makes this book so valuable. All right, well, there is a hint on the front cover. You could see where it references Aquaman. Well, not only is Aquaman in this issue, but this issue also has the first appearance of the lovely lady herself, the one and only Aqua Girl. There are many women in comics who have taken on the mantra of Aqua Girl, but this is the OG, the 1959 version, Lisa Morrell herself. What an amazing first appearance. I love her laying in that big shell. It's so cool. And right over here, interestingly enough, I have Aqua Woman, Queen Mira, and we have Aquaman right there with his stunning seahorse Storm. So there's just a lot of Aqua stuff going on right now. The music's playing. You know what that means. Now, if you have little kids watching, or if you don't like seeing the lovely ladies, you might want to fast forward past this section just a bit. But for those of you who don't mind and don't have little kids watching, I'm going to take you back to these two books here that you saw me recently source at the flea market for $15 for both of them. This is when we were talking about the heavy metal magazines, and I was also talking about that there are some hardcover books that feature certain artists, and these two feature Paolo Eleutheri Serpieri. Now, the character that's depicted in both of these books is Druna. That's her right there. I'll show you her on the back, and she is very popular. These are just the titles of the books, of the stories. It's not the name of the character, so it's the same character in both, and you can see her name right there. Now, as you could tell from particularly that cover, these are not books for everybody. So it might not be something that you personally want to source. You know, it really depends on your interest area. But these two books both have sold already for a total of $68.50. So that's pretty quick. That's a nice flip, and just giving you a sense on, again, what you could do with heavy metal branded items. So I'll put a screenshot up to the video where you could see me source these, and I have a much longer discussion of heavy metal as a brand and what you could do with it. So go check out that video if you're interested in learning more. But for now, we're gonna pack these two up and send them on their way. All right, well, that's gonna wrap it up for now. This is definitely the highlight item for me. I still can't get over it. I cannot think of any item that I've come across in all of my years of sourcing that is crazier than this or more unique than this one. So if you could think of anything going back 7 years of videos, let me know. But I've been scratching my head and I can't think of anything. So I'm looking forward to seeing the comments on this. This was certainly a blast. And I'm going to get back to listing in a moment and try to stay out of trouble. But speaking of someone who sometimes gets into trouble, that'll be Daisy. You know, I know she seems so innocent, but sometimes she does some stuff that I catch her in the act. Let's go upstairs and I'll show you an example of that. Well, who knocked the pillow over? Uh-oh, was it you? Was it you who knocked the pillow over? Daisy will sometimes do this. She'll knock the pillow over when she wants attention. And then she'll act all innocent, like she didn't do it. And look, she's looking to the side like she's not even paying attention to me right now. Daisy, I know you knocked that pillow over. I know you did. Look at her. Look how little she is in her little spot. Aw, Daisy, how are you? What do you think of that find? That crazy motor that I found? Wasn't that amazing? Isn't that so cool? Daisy was exploring it when I put it down. She likes to sniff all the new finds that come over. So she gets a big kick out of it. And she does a lot of research too. That's why we pay her a little bit extra. So, she's got access to all the top investigative tools. That's why we pay her a big bucks. She's security and research and entertainer. So, all right, folks. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Lots of interesting stuff, and hope that you had fun, because I sure did. This has been a blast. So Daisy and I will see you back at the next one. She is still on high alert. So, it's springtime. There's more people walking around, more dogs walking by. And that means she's going to start seeing her boyfriend more soon, right? I don't want to say his name because she'll go crazy, but you'll get to see that as the springtime comes around. All right, everyone. See you at the next one. Take care.